Okay, hi guys, very good evening and a warm welcome to a FB live session and a YouTube broadcast session on understanding post-processing. The whole setup I tried a lot and hopefully there should not be any audio issues. There were quite a number of audio issues yesterday, day before while I was trying, so hopefully this will last long, okay? So this is not a test session, so all the folks joining in, warm welcome, good evening to you. And let's see, so a lot of folks joining in. So Samir, Rishikesh, Srijit, Swaroop, Anjana, so thanks for joining in, nice to see you all online. Okay, so in this basically all this new series I'm starting, and hopefully like my audio is coming through fine. Let me know if anywhere, if the audio you're not able to get it. So in fact, the session both being broadcasted live on Facebook as well as YouTube. Okay, so let's get started. So basically like these sessions, what I plan to do is to help beginners understand about post-processing. So this specific session is going to be more about post-processing. So I did receive quite a number of questions on post-processing, some of the basics, even some advanced queries. So in this session, I'm going to take you through the fundamentals of post-processing, answer whatever queries you have. I'll try my best. So I have my phone here with me where I am following up with all the questions what you're asking, and I will make sure like I try to answer maximum. And after 30 minutes, the video may go away. So I'll just go back and switch it on. I'm beaming this live from my digital SLR, and 30 minutes is the auto timer off. So let's see how that goes. Okay, so where do we start from? So see, overall when it comes to post-processing itself, there's a lot of misconception. I want to first clear that. Now, the whole concept of post-processing, if you see, it existed even from a long time, even in black and white photography, color photography, film, everything. So in the darkroom, I have done a lot of post-processing in the darkroom. So right from the darkroom, be it contrast, colors, saturation, underexposure, overexposure, all these things we are doing it in the darkroom. So we are playing with the slides, with the light, chemicals, all those. So post-processing is not something new to the photography world. And when it comes to digital photography, overall post-processing is basically an integral part of your digital photography. Now, I did get a lot of queries regarding the overall post-processing session itself. So quickly, let me just go through some of the questions which had come in. So right from Ravi Krishnan, who asked about the healing, the content-aware healing. So I'll be showing some examples on that. Nishit, so about black and white processing, he has asked. Raja Banerjee, noise reduction. Raja, I'll be showing about noise reduction. Ranjit, yes, about white balance. I'll be talking about that. Anand has asked about the different, there's so many photography tools available, where to start from, which one to use. And then, of course, like I had asked Mihir as well as Krishna to send in their albums. They had some queries about their photography, what they're doing. So I agreed to just review a couple of their albums. Then Sayan, again, understanding the overall post-processing question had come up. Then again, raw processing, which one is better, what tool to use. Then again, Rajesh asking about white balance, it's tricky. Then again, Krishna asking about post-processing like cropping, level histogram adjustment, all those various things. And Dheeraj about picture style or even picture control of Nikon. What is the use of that? So all these various queries, again, noise reduction from Prabhu. So high level questions I received, I'll try to address as many as those. Okay. And all the various things, online questions coming up, feel free to ask. Let me start with overall basics of post-processing itself. Now, what happens is like, let me start with the image itself. So what I'm going to do is like I have the setup here where laptop I'll be sharing with the images in the laptop, and you'll be able to see my screen, and I will take you through the whole processing chapter, the processing concept itself. Let me just open this up. Now, let me start. Okay, let me share my screen and other things. Okay, for a lot of you folks who want to know who I am, that's who I am. Because in the past also people ask me, like new folks just come up, join up, and they ask like, okay, who are you? What is this live broadcast about? So just for the record, I'm Sudhir Shivaram, an entrepreneur, photographer, photography mentor, wildlife photographer, whatever you want to call. And I mean, I was in the corporate world for 18 years, quit my corporate job exactly 4 years back, full time into photography teaching. But photography teaching itself in India, I've been doing it for the last, since 2003 onwards. Okay. So that's a brief intro about who I am, and you can Google me, Sudhir Shivaram. Okay. Okay. So let's get into. There you go. This is a better view. Now comes the fun part about whole post-processing itself. Let me see if I can move myself a little bit to the side. Okay, that's okay. I'm a little in the center, doesn't matter. Okay, so now when it comes to the whole concept of post-processing, what tools to use? Now, obviously you have a lot of tools, right from Adobe Camera Raw, which is the Adobe's proprietary raw processing software, then you have Capture NXD, Canon DPP, Lightroom, there's so many processing tools. Let's go one step back. Difference between RAW and JPEG itself. Let's start from there. Now, what happens is like JPEG, it's an image file, whereas RAW is more of a data file. So RAW, as the name says, it's just RAW, it doesn't have anything, it's pure data. Now, what happens is in your camera, like the various settings what you have, right from your white balance to the color profile to the picture style or the picture control, which is basically a combination of your contrast, saturation, then the brightness, a lot of those parameters. Then the other one, the ISO comes into picture, noise reduction comes into picture, inbuilt camera noise reduction. So there are hundreds of this auto light optimizer or the activity lighting for Nikon. So there are hundreds of these settings in your camera. Now, if you're shooting JPEG, the way your camera works is, this is your sensor. From the sensor, it copies to the internal camera buffer when you click. And from the internal buffer, it copies to your external memory card, SD card, CF card, any of those. Now, from internal buffer, when it copies, that is when it applies all these parameters. So even before you can think that I don't want to do any kind of post-processing, your camera has done a round of post-processing for you. So applying all these various changes, it copies to the CF card. So you can never get hold of your original image when you shoot in the JPEG mode. Okay, it doesn't matter you put all those values to default. Default is basically some value. So all those gets applied. So anybody who is against post-processing, this is a little bit of gyan about how your camera behaves. Now, if it is raw shooting, what happens is basically from the internal buffer, it directly copies to your external memory card and tagging all this as defaults. It doesn't apply. It's a raw file. It just copies it as header file information. That's it. So this is the major difference between JPEG and RAW. Now, when it comes to raw processing, what software to use? In my case, I use a combination of different software. Right from when I'm shooting in Nikon, I use Capture NXD. So on the left side here you can see the Capture NXD. I have it in my desktop. Then and then even for all the Canon files, sometimes I use Canon DPP, the Digital Photo Professional. And then majority of my work, I do it on Adobe Camera Raw. So what you're seeing, this is Adobe Bridge. So behind me, this whole layout, this is Adobe Bridge. Now I use Adobe Bridge a lot, which is again an image management tool. It's not a processing tool, it's just an image management application. From here, I export it to Photoshop or Adobe Camera Raw for the processing. Now, since I am the photographer in the field, I know what kind of image I have shot. That is where like I decide what software I want to use. Let's take this example now. This image may look beautiful. Wow, the backdrop, what you have. So here, if you see this particular image, the colors, personally, I'm not happy with it because this is not the color what I captured, what I saw out there. Now, this is where the difference comes into picture. Adobe Camera Raw is a third-party software. Let me show you the difference. Okay, let me show with this one. Let's go to the full screen. Looks beautiful? Yes, I shot it. It has to be beautiful. So it's a nice image if you ask me. Hey, not so soon. Hold on. Okay, so it's a nice image, but the same image, this is the raw file what you're seeing in Adobe Camera Raw. Same file, unprocessed, untouched. Let's see how it looks in Canon DPP. Hold on for the shock. There you go. Look at this. This is what Canon DPP is seeing, and this is what I captured out there. Okay, so this is how it was. This is raw file. I have not even touched it. This is the original raw file with white balance pumped up all the way, and So again, Sabya, the question you're asking, when do you use Capture NXD, Adobe Camera Raw, when do you do what? So of course, how to process, I'll be talking about that. But if you look at this particular one, this is what the cameras had seen and what captured. And let's see what Bridge has done. Look at this. This is Bridge. This is, let's go to the full screen mode. The impact is much better in full screen mode. Beautiful image. Look at the colors, everything. Wow. And look at this. Okay, that guy is using this slide, is going off, running away. Okay, there you go. This is ACR, Adobe Camera Raw. This is Canon DPP. That's the major difference. Okay, so as a photographer, that is where when I look at the image, I know what software I have to use, and that is where I decide and use specific software. And any of you folks out there, especially Nikon guys, please use the Nikon Capture NXD for your processing. Of course, I do have my online photography tutorial. So all you have to do is go to learn.sudhirshivaram.com, and under the video tutorials, like all the various video tutorials are there for you to look at, right from the basics and advanced photography. So mastering your post-processing using Capture Canon DPP, then on the rightmost is Capture NXD, and then Adobe Camera Raw, and then Photoshop. Different various things are there, everything for a mere 4,999, okay, per year, 1 year subscription. Coming back, now this is where you have to decide as a photographer what kind of software tool you want to use. There is no hard and fast rule that you have to use this or that. Okay, so Mohit, do you have any video on beginner photography? Yes, the one what I just showed you, the basics of photography. I can guarantee you, closing my eyes, the first one, basics and advanced photography and post-processing, what you see, this has around 8 hours of teaching including post-processing. I mean, I'll guarantee you, in writing, pay attention, go through this entire course, your whole photography is going to change. Okay, so don't want to deviate a lot about what my services are, but yes, for the question what you asked, I do have the online post-processing, photography learning, everything as a part of my online video tutorials. Coming back, so this is basically what tool to select. Let's go to the next step. So one of the questions which came in is about white balance. Okay, let me take this to example. Where is the other one? Okay, there you go. Now in simple terms, so let me go to the full screen here. Now in simple terms, white balance is nothing but one of the parameters which decides what colors basically to use in the image, what colors we want to showcase. Now it is expressed in Kelvin, okay, or for a lot of entry level mid-range cameras, you don't have manual white balance. So you have the presets like daylight, shade, cloudy, flash, tungsten, all those various presets. They in turn basically tie up to a particular number. Okay, so it could be 5200 Kelvin for daylight, and then say 6000 for cloudy, 7000 for shade. Of course, between Canon and Nikon, there will be slight variations. Look at this particular scene. This was early morning in Corbett, and shot in a cloudy or a shade white balance, very high white balance, beautiful yellowish I got. So for natural outdoor shooting, when you do, right, so any white balance over say 6000 Kelvin, you get more warm colors, yellowish colors. Any white balance below 5000 Kelvin, you get more of bluish cast. Okay, so that is where you have to decide as a photographer what white balance you want to use. This was shot at a high white balance. Next one, everything remaining the same. Look at this, the whole mood in the image changes. Okay, now comes the fun part. Let's go into the raw. This is where the power of raw comes into picture. Let me just open this file in Adobe Camera Raw. So I just double click it, Adobe Camera Raw opens. Basically Adobe Camera Raw, you cannot install it separately. When you install Photoshop, Adobe Camera Raw is a plugin which comes in. So on top, if you see the Creative Cloud, what I have installed, all these various software you get as a part of that. Of course, it is asking me to update to the latest one. I'll do it after this presentation. There you go, Photoshop. Then come all the way, Adobe Bridge is here, which is the image management tool. Then Camera Raw separately for upgrades you get. Okay, but you cannot install it separately. It's a plugin. Cool. Go back. Now look at this image which was shot at 2500 Kelvin. There you go. Okay, so it was shot at 2500 Kelvin. You want to change in post processing? No issue. It's a very simple step. Just use the slider, take it all the way up. There you go. It is as simple as that. So as a beginner in photography, white balance, don't worry too much about what to do, what to use in the field. That said, my recommendation is always to get it right in the field. A quick tip for beginners I'll give you, and even for advanced users. When you are shooting sunset, you want to get those yellows, all those right. Go with the white balance of 10,000 Kelvin. If you have manual white balance, go with 10,000 Kelvin. Otherwise, go with shade, shoot in raw mode. Come back here and you can do this. Look at this. So this original one, if you see, is more of 2500 Kelvin, the bluish cast. No problem. I shoot it, go back or come back into the raw file and change it. But if this was a JPEG file, it would have been very tough to make this kind of a change. This is basically what we call as the non-destructive processing, because whatever changes I'm applying, it doesn't apply to the main image. It's a slider. You just vary it, the data changes. That's all. Let me cancel this, go back to the other one. There you go. So this was photographed at 10,000 Kelvin. Of course, in the camera it was 10,000 Kelvin. Adobe Camera Raw 100% may not be able to read the data. Okay, fine. I want to change this. I can increase this again to make it up to 50,000 Kelvin in basically the Adobe Camera Raw. And then if I want to change the original of this, go back all the way down. There you go, up to 2000 Kelvin I can go down, change the entire mood of the image itself. Okay, so this is where the power of raw file comes into picture. Okay, so Rohan, yes, while shooting raw, white balance doesn't matter. I fully agree with you. But as a photographer, my recommendation is to always get into the habit of putting the correct white balance. Because in a lot of my situations, say recently I captured all the dandiya, all those things in my apartment. And I don't want to shoot raw files of those things. So I had shot everything in JPEG. And there if I make a mistake, making these corrections, it becomes very difficult. I mean, normal events, what I want to capture, I don't want to capture like 20 MB, 30 MB raw files. A 4 MB JPEG, I'm happy with it. I don't do anything with it. I just give it away, post it online. Okay. So that is where you have to decide what kind of white balance you want to use. Put it right in the field. Okay. So this is the first part where I wanted to help you understand about white balance. Now next, let's jump into the whole flow itself of post-processing. Okay, let me just cancel this. Let me see if there were any specific queries, any of those things. And guys, I didn't say hello to a lot of my regular friends who join in. I keep seeing all the names here. Thank you so much for joining in. Okay. Now, okay, fine. So let me show you. Kaushik and a lot of folks have asked me saying I don't get the right kind of colors, all those things. Let me show you. Look at this image. Let me take you through the complete workflow now, what I do, okay? And let me in advance tell you folks, I am not an expert in post-processing, okay? The things what I do are very, very simple, straightforward. I am not an expert in photography. I am not an expert in post-processing. I am an expert in photography, okay? So I'm not an expert in post-processing, but the basic things what I need to know for my kind of processing, I know it quite well. And the other very important thing, whatever I'm going to show you and teach you is basically image correction and not manipulation. Again, there's a misconception where people see changes as manipulation. No, the kind of things what I teach is basically process your image to show what you saw in the field. Nothing more, nothing less. Of course, make some changes to give it a nice punch, all those things, but don't overdo things. Okay. And Deepak, there you go. Right time to answer your question about is there any limitation or a line to draw as to how much processing to be done? Honestly, you are the photographer, you decide how much you want to do. There are no rules. Nobody is going to like tell you what to do. As long as you are happy doing on the image, working on the image, doing what you want, corrections, manipulations also probably. As long as you are happy, that is all that matters. Of course, if you are participating in a competition, that's a totally different thing. Okay. So how much is there a limit on what can be done? There you go. So Anirban color balance, I will come to that. Okay. Wait, a lot of questions coming up. Thanks for asking. I will try to answer as many as possible. Let me go through the whole flow. let's study the image. Now, as a photographer, the main thing, Akshay, quick answer, yes, adding filters, low quality filters does affect your image. Don't use any of the filters. Now, first thing what you have to do when you open an image is steady the image. I mean, here, obviously, the white balance is not what I wanted. In the field, I may have used some white balance of, I think, daylight, I may have used a 5700 Kelvin, probably was flash. So, if you see here, there is no direct sunlight. So, the white balance what I used was not appropriate. That is where the contrast I lost. One is, when you want to get good contrast, you need good lighting in the image. If there is no lighting, that contrast will be lost. Okay, you can see a lot of hazy kind of a thing. The colors are lost, the punch, all those things are lost. Let me take you through the complete process as to how to process this image, and then probably a lot of your doubts hopefully will get clarified. Okay, let's do it. And anytime my video may disappear, I'll just have to go back and turn on my video. Hopefully it stays. Let's see. Of course, 30 minutes auto power off is there. Let me just press something and see. Okay, hold on. Okay, I just pressed the button, shutter release button, pressed it a few times. Hopefully the 30 minutes extends to another 30 minutes from now. Okay, looking at the image, what are the main things? Main thing, yes, the contrast is missing. So let's go ahead, hopefully, hold on, let me see if I can actually do it. There was something I was doing. Okay, that's not working. The zoom in option I had enabled on the laptop, I forgot how to use it. It's okay. So on the right side here basically is the contrast. Okay, and let me first increase the contrast on the image. Okay. Go ahead, never hesitate. As I tell you, never hesitate. One step at a time. What we're doing is the non-destructive processing, so don't worry about the corrections. Okay. So that's the contrast. I increase the contrast to even say 90. Next, so overall the image looks dull. Let's increase the exposure a little. So in fact, I have to see here, I have to see the broadcast screen, how it is looking. Is the same, so should not be a problem. So let me increase the brightness a little. Fine, happy. Now, since exposure a little bit I increase, and the back, the whites, I want to reduce it. That is where the highlights, okay, just let me disappear for a second. Okay, so you see this slider over here. This is basically the highlights slider. Let's take it down a little. So if I increase the whites, you can see it is increasing. I want to bring it down a little. Okay. So then to get better contrast, the blacks, little bit. There you go. I do this. Then the vibrance, I want more colors. The punch, increase. Okay. So looks nice. And shadow area in the elephant. Let me increase the shadow area in the elephant. Then exposure. Yeah, I'm happy with this. Okay, of course, further fine tuning has to happen in Photoshop. Sudhir, come back. Okay, I'm back. So as you can see, these are the basic things what I did. Okay, so let's see before. Okay, this is not the mouse. Okay, so let's see a before and after. So the original image, this is how it was. Dull, no punch, nothing in this. And after that, of course, behind me is the before and after toggle button. I'm just pressing that. This is after. Look at the punch. So for a lot of questions which had come in asking me, saying I'm not getting good punch in the image, colors, contrast, what I saw, what I captured, I don't get it. These are the very, very basic things you can do to get back the colors. Next, what I do, once I finish this, I take it to Photoshop. So I just click on open image. Of course, before that, basic setup you have to do. I want it to be in Pro Photo RGB. The color space, I want it to be in Pro Photo depth. 8 bits is fine with me because I'm not going to print it right now. So resolution for web, I'll just keep it to 72 dpi. Honestly speaking, it doesn't matter what resolution you keep for the web. 72, I'll keep it rest, everything default. Okay. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, let me just say done. I'm not going to take it to Photoshop right now. Let me just show you a few things what you have to do in Photoshop. Now here in Photoshop, we have to grab that file. So from there, I'm going to push it to Photoshop. And here I want to go into the color management settings. Okay, I have already put the settings. So again, the working space, Pro Photo RGB, rest everything, blah, 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 everything is fine. Okay, say okay. So these are the settings what you need to have to capture it. Let's go back. Of course, this is basically a one-time setup. So this is non-destructive processing. Whatever I have done, I didn't like it, you can always go back to default and change it. Now let me hide myself so that I can show you what I am clicking. Okay, there you go. So you see below here there is this open image. Okay, so you can't see it in the screen. Let's see. Okay, there is this open image down here. Okay, so I think in the screen what I'm sharing you're not able to see it. So there's this open image down here. I click on that and it opens up in Photoshop. So there, come back. Okay, there you go. So it opens up. Now here you can go ahead and do the cropping, any of those things. Of course, cropping you can also do back over there. So let's show that. I mean, the overall post processing is extremely flexible. So there's a crop tool here. You want only the elephants, go ahead and crop it. Okay, so it's extremely flexible. Cropping, then the straightening tool, then dust removal. I mean, there are hundreds of these things here in Adobe Camera Raw. Let me cancel, come back to Photoshop here. Now here what I do, I'll have to steady the image, and then first thing probably what I do is I want to resize the image. So typically, let's take it for Facebook post. Okay, oh, hold on. Oh yeah, I forgot to switch on my logo on the right corner. That's okay. Now, main thing is like for Facebook, I want to resize the image. Okay, that's good. So this is the high resolution, native resolution what we call, and in a lot of photography competition, they convey saying, please send us native resolution files, do not crop the image, do not resize the image. So what you see here, 5184 by 3456, this is the native resolution of the image, where you're not doing any resize, nothing. This is the actual megapixels captured by the camera, 1:1, that's it, okay. So on the x-axis you have 5184 pixels, y-axis 3456 pixels at 72 pixels per inch, PPI, DPI we interchange, okay. So typically for my Facebook, I post 1200 height and 1800 width. Let me see, okay, so when you click on 100%, it's quite a high resolution file, beautiful, look at the kid over there, the calf, very nice, okay. So fit screen. Now, normally after resizing, the next thing what I do is basically levels. Levels is an extremely powerful tool when it comes to Photoshop. So Dipankar, let me, while I'm talking, let me take some of the quick queries which are coming over here. Dipankar, vibrance, tint, those things, right? So typically, vibrance is more of a Adobe proprietary correction, okay, proprietary tool adjustment, whatever. So the major difference between saturation and vibrance, saturation boosts the color of the entire image, whereas vibrance, what it does, it increases the saturation of only the vibrant colors. So for example, this image, if you see the backdrop, what you have, the sky or any of those things, it doesn't make sense to boost the colors of that, right? So that is where when you use vibrance, the greens of the grass, those things, it boosts, it increases the colors of that, okay. So yes, placing the logo, I will definitely show it. Okay, color tone. Okay, now Sumit, I saw sRGB in video tutorials. Is there any major difference between Pro Photo RGB, sRGB, Adobe RGB? Yes, there's a huge difference. So probably like that itself will require a separate discussion about color management policies. But quickly let me tell you with the analogy. Now when it comes to the working space, the colors, ICC profiles, right? It's basically how many colors you can use to play around with the image, okay. In simple terms, if I had to give you an example, sRGB is basically, if I give you a crayons packet of say 15 colors, 15, light red, light green, dark green. So this variation of colors, if I give you a crayons packet of 15 colors and ask you to do a sketch, I mean, it will not be a very colorful one. With those limited colors, you draw a sketch. So that's your sRGB. Now Adobe RGB, say I give you say 50 of those crayons pencil. Okay, so crayon pencils 50, I give you different variations within that particular color. So you can draw a little bit more vibrant picture. Then comes a Pro Photo RGB where I say give you 100 colors. Okay, so 100 crayon pencils. then it's a very, very vibrant thing what you can basically draw. So at a very high level, this is the major difference between sRGB, Adobe RGB, ProPhoto RGB. And whatever display monitors what we have, majority of them, they are sRGB display. Even though here I'm working in ProPhoto RGB, what I see is actually sRGB, because the display, even though I'm using a MacBook Pro, they cannot display in ProPhoto RGB colors. Of course, you get separate monitors to display Adobe RGB, and that is like a lakh 50,000 or more. Of course, I'm talking about good quality monitors, where you can see the real colors what is shot, okay, in Adobe RGB format. What we see, sRGB, huge difference. Coming back to the main workflow. So here, the next step, what I do is use the levels. Now, levels is basically the histogram, and I make some corrections. So on the right side, I want to adjust the highlights. Of course, in depth, if you want to do sign up, do subscribe for my video tutorials. That is the place where you learn all these things in detail. Okay. Next, so the whole workflow I'm showing, so sharpening, all those things I'll be showing. Okay, fine. So there's a nice shortcut of using the Alt or the Option key to know where to stop the slider. So I press that. So there you see on top, let me move the box to the side. Once more, you see the thing on top, that is the place which is getting overexposed. If I just move in, see that place, that top portion is heavily overexposed, not good, take it back. So the moment you start seeing some pixels, that's fine. Go back a little, that's fine. I stop there for the highlights. Then on the shadow area, same thing I repeat. Back. Yeah, this is fine. So if you see the review or the preview now, this is before, this is after. You see a slight variation, and of course this is center one is the mid-tone which you can use. So this is fine. Okay, so this is basically the level adjustment. So 100%, beautiful, fit screen. And then the next one, more or less I am done. I want to do the sharpening. So I go into filter, sharpen, smart sharpen. Okay, so I use smart sharpen for all my wildlife images. Amount I normally keep it anywhere from 70 to 90 to 120, depending on the original quality of the image. And then radius 0.3 for web based, 1.3 for online basically, oh, sorry, 1.3 for prints. Okay, so I'm trying to even look at any questions related to what I'm explaining. Cool, so there you go. So 90, I'm happy with this, and all the other things. So remove lens blur is what I keep. No other changes. I don't do any noise reduction over here. I'll show you why. Done. Okay, so more or less it's ready, but let me show you in this itself about noise reduction. If I zoom in, you see here just above the elephant here. So there is, I don't know, in the small monitor, depending on where you are watching. If you are on YouTube, then 720p high definition, yeah, HD you can see in if you are watching this in YouTube. Okay, so you can see those grains, noise little bit. Go back full screen. Okay, so here what I do is basically I go ahead, I'm still broadcasting. Okay, so here basically I go ahead, I have installed Neat Image as a plugin over here. So filter, Neat Image version 8, I open it. It's a plugin. So the one of the best things of the entire workflow is I never leave my Photoshop or Adobe Camera or to Photoshop, go to Neat Image, come back to Photoshop. So the same image, I'm working on that. I'm not saving it, closing it, opening it, doing it again, saving, come back here. No, it's the continuous workflow in one single application. And of course, if you're using Canon DPP or Capture NXD, there also you can maintain the same workflow where the raw processing, you can do it in that software, and then basically export it to Photoshop directly, and the whole process continues. So I want to do an auto profile where, yeah, it takes its own values, little bit of fine tuning, and then I apply it. Now I'll show you what happens. So I apply this setting. Now once I apply, there is an issue. So I think Raja, you had asked the same question, Raja Banerjee, and some of you had asked this question about noise reduction. Let me show you what happened now. In the noise reduction, what I did, you see the leg over here. Let me do a Control Z to show you back. See here, the skin details, before, after, before, after. So the skin details, I lost out on that. Okay, so fit screen again. So I lost out on the skin details when I used post-processing or when I used noise reduction on the entire image. Very bad. Now let me do Control Z. I don't want to run my noise removal on the entire image. I want to apply noise removal only to the other parts of the area, other parts of the image, not on the elephants. Now this is where the masking technique comes in. So what I do, very simple, duplicate the layer. Of course, these are the advanced, little bit advanced, and do subscribe to my video tutorials to go deeper into these things. Okay, on my website learn.sudhirshivaram.com, everything explained in detail. Okay, just 1 year subscription. Please go ahead, support me on that. Okay, I guarantee you a good learning there. Now what I do, I created a layer. Now I go ahead and make any adjustment. So I go ahead, do my reduce noise. I'll show you little bit excess I will do and show you what is the power of this masking. So it has taken a sample. Let me move the sample down here and I'll show you the issue. Remove it, noise filtering. Oh wow, there you go. Okay, this is just I'm doing a little extreme to show you the power of masking, what you can do. I apply it. There you go, look at this. So what happened is, see, this is where in fact somebody else had asked me saying, when we run the noise removal tool, why does the size of the image reduce? The megapixel, the size, everything, it comes down. That's because it removes the pixel, it modifies the pixel, the data, it takes away the data. Now, if you see what happened over here, look at this. The skin details of the elephant is gone. This is the issue with running noise removal on the entire image, but no issue. That is where I created a layer and I'm working on the layer. I have done the correction. I'm going to like apply the masking. Once I apply the masking, then again I use the brush tool, toggle. There you go. I get back, of course. So the grass down here, everywhere, I'm just going to use the brush to get back the details. Super. There you go. And in the top area is basically, I'm still broadcasting. Okay, good. I saw some error message pop up. Okay. That's right, Abbas. The skin details was gone. That is where using the masking technique, what I do, I get back the skin details. Then once I've done that, I just go ahead and say flatten the layer. Of course, there are a lot of advanced things what you can do here, where again the intensity, the opacity you can decrease as to how much you want to apply, you want to not want to apply all those. But I just at a high level showed you how I use noise removal, where I apply noise removal only to the background, not to the main image. So more or less my image is ready. And somebody asked me about how do I put the logo. So let me just go ahead and do that. So what I have is logo file is, where did I keep the logo file? Okay, let me show you using my old logo. I think my new logo is somewhere here on the desktop probably. Where is my desktop? Old logo, new SSP. Now this is the same folder. I'm working on something different, so I don't want to show too many things. Okay, there you go. Let me just use this at a high level. Oh, this was the corrupted file. Ha ha ha. Sudhir. Logos received. Okay, I don't want to go to other folders working on something, so let me just go to my old logo itself. So what I have done, so this is my old logo. Okay, fine, it's, I know in what folder, so I open that file. Okay, so Sudhir Shivaram, where are you? There you go. So this is my logo. It's nothing but it's just another JPEG image. This is my old logo rather. So what I can do is I just resize this image to whatever, say 400 by something. Control A, Control C. The whole logo placing is nothing but cut and paste. Control C, Control A, Control C, Control V. That's it. Okay. But of course, here I want to reduce the size. It's too big. I want to move it around. So what I do, I go into Edit, Free Transform, use the Shift, move it whatever size you want, do it, move it to the side, hit Enter. Of course, this looks like a patch now. Okay. The logo, it looks like a patch. I don't like it. So what I can do is get rid of this. What I have done to this, okay, my original logo. So I have used basically, any of you can do this. There is a background, very nice. Where are you? Okay, there's a very nice background eraser tool. So where I simply delete the background. So that deleted background image I already have with the transparent. So this is the already deleted background. Control A, Control C, Control V. That's it. See, the background is deleted, only the logo comes in. Okay. So yeah, so the new logo also in similar way I do it. Cool. So this is about the logo thing. Let me see what other things are coming in. Okay. So how does level works and are they important with beginners? So Pranav, yes, the way the level works is basically overall in your image the data is distributed. So the tonality is distributed right from the highlights to the shadow to the midtones. So what happens is certain times like on the right side highlights area or the shadow area, there may not be enough data. So that is where you see the blanks. So same image. So okay, let me just complete and then get back to the question. Sorry about that. Let me finish the whole workflow. So once this is done, I just have to flatten the layer. Since I have pasted the image on top of this, so it creates a layer. So if I go back to the layers here, okay, so there you see the layer 1, layer 2, of course, the other logo with the patch I added. So if I just show that, it comes back there, close it, remove it or hide it. Okay, so since it's layers, I have to go layer, flatten image, super, discard obviously. Okay, now so far if you see the whole thing has been processed in Pro Photo RGB color space. So I want to convert it to sRGB for online posting, any of those things. So edit, convert to profile, from Pro Photo RGB, sRGB, Control Shift S, say desktop itself, save it, and 12. I use 12 as the image quality because I get around 1.7 megapixel image, good enough. Okay, so that is definitely good enough for online posting. There you go. So this is basically the completely processed image. So let's go back. Okay, so this is, let's go to the default, remove everything. Okay, all changes back, open the image in Photoshop. There you go. So this is the image before this, not you, close. This is again, don't save. Okay, so this is the before, this is the after. Look at the sea of change, huge change in the whole image itself. But as I said, whatever you saw, this is not manipulation for me, this is correction. Okay, because I corrected the image to showcase what I saw over there, and of course little bit of adding contrast, punch to make it feel good. The wow factor has to come in. So obviously, like, I don't want to print this image, I want to basically print and hang this image on the wall of my house. So let's see any of these other things which keeps coming in question. Now, how about processing multiple exposure? Yes, you have a lot of those. Let me show you the power of post-processing using another raw file. Okay, because I can just keep going on and on and on. This one, let's look at this image. Again, all this is the power of raw. Quickly, if I have to explain to you, like, if you look at this image, fair enough, it's a composite, or rather like it's a tough exposure where you cannot get the details in the elephant, and of course keeping the sunset also under proper exposure. So this is where the shadow highlight comes in. Okay, so you can increase the shadow, overall exposure, increase the way you want to see the elephants. This image, I take it to Photoshop and then go back. I want to basically get better, increase the temperature if you want, highlights little bit, reduce it. So take this, so let me just show you quickly. Open that in Photoshop. Okay, so this portion is more for the top portion. So somebody asked about composite processing, so just quickly showing that. And then I go back, default, now I want more details in the elephant area. Thoda little bit contrast. Yeah, so I want this for the elephant. Open the image. Again, roughly I'm showing it, okay. Control A, Control C, Control V. Then I use my masking. Then use the brush. And of course, I'm doing it in a very rough way, okay. just to show you the power and what can be done. Now, of course, when it comes to the border area, all those things, you will have to play around with your opacity, other things, and make sure there is a nice transition from top to down and it's not very visible. Of course, any of this is basically I'm manipulating the image. Of course, this is how in real it was, but this kind of composite processing, many of the competitions, they don't agree. Okay, they don't take it. That is where they ask for your raw file. So this is one of the things when it comes to composite. Okay, a lot of questions are coming up, some of the advanced as to like individually how do I change colors or replace the background, all those. So I don't want to get into that kind of a manipulation stuff. Hopefully some other separate one I can do. So at a very high level, these are the key things what I wanted to show you for beginners. Of course, I can do a separate one for advanced, but as I said, I would highly encourage you all to go on to my website learn.sudhirshivaram.com and you get all these various benefits from my video tutorials. Currently there are these 7 or 8 courses. More is already done and just have to wait for another 15-20 days for all the new ones to be shown on the website. So this itself is good enough to really zoom up your photography learning. Okay, so the key things, any of you Nikon guys, D500, you can go through that irrespective of what camera you do. Canon guys, 1200 is good enough, and of course my main one, basic and advanced you do, that is good enough. Okay, now let me just take up a lot of the regular general questions which are coming up. So let me just change a few things. Okay, so okay, you go, small Sudhir, go. Okay, cool. Wow, so folks, I hope that particular session was quite useful and you enjoyed it. Hopefully a lot of learning, and do give me your feedback, other things. Now, so Rahul, the 4,997 is inclusive of GST. Yes, so the actual base price of the product is I think 4,200 plus 18% GST comes to 4,997. It's inclusive of the GST. Now, where to place the logo, Dhruval, you can place it anywhere. Oh, I'm so sorry, I don't want to conclude. There are 2 major things which are pending. Okay, so I know probably those guys were waiting. sorry, hold on. Where is my notepad? Okay, so Mihir had sent album saying, quickly can you do a review? I'm not getting the proper colors, all those things. So, okay. Let's see, Mihir. I'm not going to do an in-depth review. So I think this is the album what Mihir had created. Okay, so see, when it comes to overall photography itself is an art actually, like, and obviously nobody can teach you the art aspect. You have to develop it over a period of time. But at least through my tutorials, what I can teach you is the core concepts, the 4 important pillars of photography about subject knowledge, the fundamental concepts of photography about the various exposure settings, white balance, the focusing, metering, a lot of those things, composition I can teach, then even about equipment, shooting techniques, post-processing, all these things I can teach, which is the core 4 pillars of your photography. So quickly, if you see the images here, I mean here if you see obviously from an exposure point of view, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not sharing the screen. There you go, small Sudhir, come back. Okay, so this is basically the album which Mihir has sent across. Okay, so these are the images what he has sent across. Quickly, let's go through that. So here again, your exposure has gone for a toss, and somebody asked me saying, okay, how does your video tutorial help? These are the things. Since it's backlit, so depending on whether spot metering or evaluative metering, how we can play around, you can come to know. Too many distractions. If little bit right side angle you had gone, just the crested serpent eagle would have stood out. You can see those branches coming to the head, not good. It has to stand out. Okay, sambar, fine. Again, Corbett, I know the legs are chopped off. This kind of close-up will not work. Zoom out, good kind of habitat shot. Eye contact is missing in this. Okay, of course, wow, the broad bill. You have cropped the image, it's quite far. Focusing has gone for a toss. Image, there's a shake in that. everything which can go wrong has gone wrong in this. Okay, same thing again, probably a close cropping. When it comes to bird photography and focal length, right, don't try to do a close cropping. Try to compose the way what your camera and lens combination can give you. Close cropping is going to spoil the whole image clarity, quality, everything. Okay, so here again, composition, background, processing, all those things comes into picture. Clarity is missing, sharpness. This is a nice one. So this image, obviously, like when you use the dehaze option and the levels option, this image is going to pop out like anything. If it is a raw file, you can do this easily. Follow the steps what I showed, you can easily get that. Of course, the lighting, under wings, it's underexposed. Again, here the shutter speed has gone for a toss. So at a high level, Mihir, if you see from a photography point of view, if I just go through these images, right, again the elephant backlit, then even the bee eaters here, again exposure has gone for a toss. So I think you are a perfect candidate for my photography tutorials. So Mihir, you had asked me, the punch is not there, all those various things, something is missing. Obviously, you are not getting the right exposure. Then you're focusing, then your exposure triangle parameter, shutter speed, you're not getting it right. That was the 30 minutes interval, and you lost my video for a second. It's back. Sorry about that. Okay, so there you go. So Mihir, these are the things which you have to take care of. And yeah, so Mihir, hopefully that should answer your query about how to get good images. Please do subscribe for my video tutorials. I'll guarantee you your images will improve. And Krishna, let's quickly go through yours. I know even you shared it in your Facebook profile that your images will be reviewed by this expert. Do watch it. Appreciate that sharing. Let me take it up. Okay. So Mihir, are you around? Sorry, Krishna. Just say hi to me on the comment section. Oh yeah, there you go. Krishna Shastri, thanks for joining in. I know you're waiting, and I'd almost missed it. Okay. Cool. So Krishna, now let me give you a little bit of inputs. Now, depending on what genre of photography, because here I see a mix of different genre of photography. Now, depending on the genre of photography, what you do, right, you have to decide what kind of photography you want to do within the genre. Now, there are different concepts, different aspects within photography. Documentary photography, travel photography, then the real wow factors, what I call that kind of a photography. Okay. And habitat shots. So there are different ways you can capture an image. Say for example, this image if I take, okay, so of course this requires a little bit of processing. Sharpness is little bit missing. Of course 100% sharpness I don't want to comment because Facebook spoils the quality of the image. So 100% I don't want to do it. And I see a small rainbow over there. Fantastic, good capture. Okay. So here again with the overall processing, right, this image can really pop up. Let's give it a shot. Okay, save image as desktop itself. Let's save it. I'm not going to do this for all the images. Like sometimes when I look at the image, I feel like let me work on that. So Control O, desktop. Let's open this image. Okay, so here I can definitely do a lot of stuff for the background, especially the clouds and then the mountains. For me, the main thing is the mountains to increase the contrast punch. So let's quickly do some things and see if it makes sense. It doesn't make sense? I was wrong. Simple. Your exposure is already there. So this is where you need to be like that Arjuna in when he's trying to shoot that fish, right? So he's asked like, what do you see? Rest everybody says that I see the fish, the background, the wheel, habitat, everything they say. But Arjuna says I see only the eye of the fish. So you need to be the Arjuna here when you're doing the masking. Forget about rest of the world. Concentrate on the area where you need to make corrections. So on the left side of the clouds, left side mountain, this is what I want. Fade enough. I'll do a little excess, okay, just to show the difference. Normally I don't do this, okay. And then I'm going to put my masking for this and then go back to the original, reduce the brush size, my opacity, increase my opacity. See that? Decrease the brush. Of course, with a raw file, you can do a lot more. So this side is already overexposed. This area can't do much. So bring in those mountain details. Okay. Okay, forget about the right side. Leave it. It's okay. So here, if you see the left side mountain, no, toggle, get rid of it. So just little difference if I have to show you. This is before, after. Okay, so the whole hazy kind of a mountain you can get rid. Of course, in a quick way, I show with a raw file, I can do much better. Okay, that's one. Now this is what I call as the documentary image. So in these kind of things, basically, if you see, fine, it's a nice red house with showing the habitat, the mountains in the backdrop. So if I'm trying to write a blog about my whole travel, my journey, then I'll be using this image to say, this is the place where I was. This is not a wow image, but yes, it's a wow place. And this house with the red color, nice contrast against the background. And this is where I stayed. This is where 1 week I spent from a memory point of view. This is nice image, but not a wow image for me, because the background, the sky is overexposed, the clouds are overexposed, this wire going over there, too many of those man-made materials. So this is a kind of a documentary image for me. Again, here if you see, you tried a few things, but not fully there, if you ask me. I know you have tried with some kind of all this jing-jack things in the thing, but I'm not a wedding photographer, so I don't know if clients require this kind of an image, so I could be wrong over there. Okay, but still the clarity, details. Oh, hello, what happened? Okay, sorry. Okay, so in fact, I did go through your images. So you need to be a little bit more focused, Krishna. So when it comes to your images, right, work on each of the image. Okay, don't be in a hurry. Don't be in a hurry to click. Okay, so even this image, if you see, just randomly if I have to see, I mean, there are way too many things in this. It doesn't work. Your depth of field, you have not worked on this. Composition, your exposure, if you see, overexposed parts. The lighting is actually like brilliant over here. So if you had got the right exposure, center of that, and moved little to the left, better composition, depth of field if you had considered, you could have improved it. So almost same as what I conveyed to Mihir, right? So here again, this is just a documentary shot. This is not a great shot for me. The whole cement block comes in the front over there. It blocks my view completely, and the kids playing, having fun, it's not coming out from this image. So the storytelling image, what we say, is not happening in this. Okay, so that is the lacking part. So if you see, photography itself is not, there you go again, depth of field is gone bad, your exposure, okay, composition, main thing is the clarity, details, the sharpness, it's not there. Okay, so this is what I mean by saying work on your images. So whatever image you're trying to shoot, a lot of these things, the 4 pillars of photography, what I call, all those various things comes into picture. Okay, wow. So at a high level, this is the feedback what I have for you. Okay, and I know like a lot of people now have started sending me saying, please review my images, all those things. So the intent of this workshop or this presentation was not to review images, but as a workflow, I just wanted to give, using your example, even I wanted to convey photography. It's basically a whole art, like the whole workflow comes in, right from understanding about your subject, the concepts of photography, then your shooting techniques, what equipment you're using matters, post-processing. So all these things come together, and any of you who are trying to send me images for review, I'll give you a general feedback. Work on these 4 aspects, okay? And whatever image you're trying to shoot, take your time, work on the subject. Don't be in a hurry. Never get satisfied too quickly. So these are the key things which you have to keep in mind. Okay, so now again, let's go back to the Q&A, and then we can conclude the session. The big Sudhir, come back, you go back. Okay, nice background. Cool. Okay, folks, hopefully this session was helpful, and going forward, I will be doing a lot more of these sessions. And hold on, a lot of you are going away, hold on. Coming soon, basically like very soon, I'm going to be talking about this lens. Let me see quickly, how many of you can tell me, a small quiz. What lens am I holding here? What is this lens? It's a Canon camera. What lens is this? Fast. Uh, so what format I save my processed files? Akshay, I basically save everything as JPEG. Okay, and Dhruval, you can do advanced photography in any SLR, any damn SLR you can do it. So yeah, I believe you guys saw this Tamron thing and you said it's a Tamron lens, but what lens is it? Come on, give me the range. Mohan, wide angle. I need the Mohan. What millimeter lens? What lens is this? Okay, so Prajal 18135, na. 85 Gaurav, na. 24105, no. Full frame lens, no. This is actually not a full frame lens. This is a DI lens. 7300 prime, no. 18135, no. Okay, Tamron 2470, no. Tejas, you got the right answer. Okay, Saurabh, you got the right answer. This is Tamron's latest 18400 lens. It's a fantastic range. And I did try out a few, there you go. So this is 400 mm, this is 18 mm. So I have the Tamron's latest 18400 f3.5 to 6.3 Di2 VC HLD lens over here. So probably like next week or the week after next, I'll be announcing my next photography webinar, this broadcast, and there I want to show you about this lens, then show you some of the images from this lens, what it is capable of. It's I think in the range of 50,000 odd rupees. So definitely a nice entry level beginners wildlife photography lens, I would say. So I'll be talking about this lens in the next broadcast, next webinar. Okay, so hold on to that. Now, how to practice panning in telephoto lens? You need to get a panning pod for that. Okay, so all of you still guessing what lens is that? As I said, it's the 18400 lens. Okay, so Saurav, it is a massive lens for all purpose for beginners, but you are too serious about quality of the image, then we have to rethink. Okay, and it does not fit all format camera. It's a DI lens, which means it can fit only the crop sensor. Of course, you get for Canon, you get for Nikon mount both, but it is only for the APS-C cameras. You cannot use it on a full frame body. Okay, will it be good for birding? Quite decent for birding, I would say. The quality, I will have to explain it next time. So Madhav, no, unfortunately still I have not bought it and they have not given me. It's basically for me to try it out. Basically, like if I have to share information, a lot of people ask me, Sudhir, how is this lens? And that is where I agreed to test it out. I have borrowed it from them. They have just given it on lending purpose, and then I will be giving it back to them. Okay, and of course, pretty soon I'll be getting the 400 DO lens IS2 from Canon, and I'll be testing that as well. Okay, so starting f-stop was 3.5 as I said. Yeah, 3.5 to 6.3 is the aperture. Okay, let's see, a lot of folks joining in late now. That's fine. Price, I think around 50 plus, something in that range. If a Sony camera, will it fit mine? I think it should probably, as long as it's the crop sensor. Okay. So what about Tamron 150-600mm G2? So Soumitra, that's a fantastic lens. I have done a review of that, a detailed review, even the Facebook live I had done on that. It's somewhere hidden deep inside. Hopefully I'll do it again because I'm trying to now capture all these videos on my YouTube as well. Okay. So cool, fantastic. All right, guys. Any of the other queries which have been coming in, I will see how best I can go back and answer. But please do send me your overall feedback about things and see it on the back side over here. There you go. Let me try to get it right. There you go. This is the one. Okay, please go online, learn.sudhirshivaram.com and subscribe to my video tutorials where you get to learn all these various things. Okay, and a lot of new things coming up pretty soon. Stay tuned. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much. Thanks, guys and girls, everybody. Thank you so much for joining in. Hope you liked it. Please do send me a message separately. Email me. So sudhir@sudhirshivaram.com about what other kind of topics you want to see on these kind of live webinars, and I'll be happy to share it with you and hope the quality, other things, everything worked well. Thank you to this whole setup god who didn't fail me this time. Last 2 days I've been fighting on that. Okay, thank you so much for joining in. Have a fantastic night ahead and expect a lot more of these kind of photography sessions going forward. Okay, all right, here this is Sudhir Shivaram saying bye to you right now from SSP, mainly for the love of learning. Thanks, good night, bye bye, take care.